airline, so it's going okay. The sun will have been up, what, 3 or 4 hours where you are? Is this a training vid that people are not going to be contributing to, Nico? General discussion, okay.
Right, good morning everybody. Welcome to the stream. Good morning Bitrip, Martin, Paul, Bob, Jose, everybody that whose names I cannot even see. Right, I was sitting here wondering this morning what am I going to show you guys, and I recalled that one of our users on the community group actually said that he had a problem because he wanted to fly from an airport that did not contain a SID. So I thought, well, why don't we do a little tutorial, just a discussion really. We'll do a proper tutorial at some other stage, but just a discussion on how to handle taking off when you don't have an actual SID, and also maybe just how to approach the airport and land then when you don't have a star. So I'm purposefully going to ignore the fact that Manchester actually does have a star or stars available. So we're going to use a bit of vectoring, and we're going to look at a couple of things like that. And then the other thing is there's currently a discussion on LNAV, and some claims are made that the Zibo doesn't want to follow LNAV. So let's call it an investigation. Let's call it, let's find out if they are right and if the code needs some adjustment. So we're going to investigate that. We're going to take off, we're going to fly, we're going to do, I'm not sure how many waypoints there are, but we'll use the last or the second last one, and we're going to disable LNAV, and then we're going to fly around a bit, heading select ourselves, and then turn back and see if we can kind of reproduce what the guys are saying, or if they need to come and watch this video to see where they're going wrong to actually get LNAV to work again. So that's in a nutshell the whole idea. And then obviously, as always, we're here to have a lot of fun. So we're not going to laugh at each other, we're going to laugh with each other, and I hope you guys will enjoy it with me. How are you guys doing, Jose, Paul? Are you guys all right?
Yes, thanks. It sounds like a good idea. I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, cool. So the airports in question is EGAA for departure and EGCC for the arrival. And it's not a very long flight. We're not going to climb very high. I'm aiming for flight level 210, but I'm not sure if we're going to even be able to attain 210, because this is like a 36 minutes in air, 36 minutes flight time. Very short flight. So we'll see how far we get. We'll play around with a couple of things. Maybe while we're busy vectoring ourselves, we can climb a bit more, do something like that. All right, I also want to just briefly discuss when we get to that point, if I can remember, just the difference between the way that people fly the Zibo. Some guys uses LNAV, VNAV, some guys want more control, so they go for, all kinds of other ways of departing, but we'll touch on that later on when we get there, if I can remember. Let me just pull Christian in here as well. Good morning, Christian. And good morning, Joseph, on stream there. Nice to have you with us. Okay, so I don't think that I showed you guys the auto route function the last time. In this instance, it's actually going to help us quite a bit because I do not have a Ryanair route for this route. I don't have any reference for it. So all I'm going to do to start off with is I'm going to use the auto route function that you guys can see over there, and I'm going to select high airways and calculate, and that's going to give us something. All right, I just want to get rid of the top bar so you guys can just enjoy it a little bit more. All right, so this is the auto route that Navigraph has come up with for us. We can clearly see there is no SID and there is no star currently. If we go to our trusted virtual AWAS now, and by the way, we're going to disregard the SOP of the airport. We're not interested in that at this point in time. This is simply just flight planning. All right, so we're going to find that our runway 25 is active. This is not EGAA. Our wind coming from that side, so that's 25 is active. So we're going to select a runway 25. All right, there is no departure, no SIDs at this airport, so you can do whatever you want. You will not get any departure there, which means that in the real world, you are either going to have to vector yourself or the ATC will vector you. There's no other way of doing this. You can't take off and expect LNAV to do this for you. So we typically are going to take off until about, runway heading 1,500 feet and then make our turn in whichever direction we feel that we need to go. And then we're going to line us up and get to an interception heading for the first waypoint. When you want to switch, this is very important. When you want to switch from heading select onto your LNAV, you have to be on an intercept heading. There are limits. I don't know them off by heart because I always point directly at it before I switch on my LNAV. So, but there are limits. You guys can Google that. You can't typically lock onto a waypoint that is, I'm going to guess now, more than 45 degrees out. If you try that, it's not going to lock on. It doesn't know what to do. You're not on an intercept heading. It won't lock. So we're going to look at that as well. So our first waypoint will be SLYDA, which is that one over there. And we are going to have to get ourselves from there to there without a great fuss. All right. Then when we actually look at Manchester, now we need to look at the star side of things. Now remember we said we're going to pretend there are no stars. We can obviously use, well, let me rephrase that. And I apologize if I caused confusion now, but just concentrate with me, please, for a moment. There will be a star, but the star is not going to take you to the runway or to the intercept point that we have on the runway. So let's start with the basics. Let's quickly look at the information here. All right, so we're going to use T3 right because that's almost directly a wind coming from direct in front of us. So we're going to use runway 23. So we can use ILS 23, but we're not going to use any approach help, anything whatsoever. We want to vector ourselves. We're going to choose final. Because if you have an airport where there are no stars, that will be the only option you have anyway. So we're going to use final, and now you can see to get from there to there, there's a big gap. Now even if we go and choose the actual star, I need to obviously just change the heading for the video. I don't want to confuse the guys because I was just loosely referring to no stars, but obviously there is a star, but it's not connected anyway remotely even to the runway. So there's no formal path that this aircraft can take. You are forced literally to use vectors at some point in time, which is the whole point of the video. So I'll have to just rename the thing. But there you can see that's going to be the challenge that we're going to have to look at. Aviation Chris, now I'm not flying VATSIM. When I do discussions and tutorials, there's no point because you get there and then they change your mind you know, or they want you to do something that you didn't plan and that you cannot actually, you know, fulfill your obligation towards the stream. So not flying online right now. Right, I'm just going to change the view just to make it a little bit easier to view. All right, so we've got a big gap over there and we've got a big gap over there. Now we want to obviously try and fill these gaps. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my middle portion as always. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to bring it to SimBrief. All right, I'm going to leave most of this. Let's quickly read through this. All right, so departure runway is 23. We want arrival runway 23 right. All right, please remember we're going to disregard some of the information it gives us. I'm not worried about my outdated ARAC. It changed yesterday. I forgot to update it over here. Not sure if I can actually update it on the fly without having to restart. Let's do that. Right, seems it worked. Good morning, George. Good morning, Martin. Right, okay, so disregard that. We actually got it going on the fly. That's very nice. So I just want to paste the route that we got from our Navigraph into there. We're going to analyze the route. We see, yes, it's fine. So using this route that we manually created, just to refresh your memory, there we go. We are now going to create our OFP, passenger zero fuel weight. Let's make it full. Let's take a ton of cargo, why not? Just to have that, then we're going to generate our OFP. No, it didn't, George. No, that is exclusively for SimBrief. I use the updater tool from Navigraph to actually update my explain and everything, and that I did yesterday. So that's all taken care of. All right, so we've got our whole situation, everything that we wanted. Let's quickly grab the downloader. All right, and export. All right, so that takes care of our explain FMS format for us, and we can close this. All right, so we've now got the OFP. We can actually go to preview that and just keep it open one side for us. Oh, we can actually download it. In actual fact, let's leave it at that. That's not important. Right, then what we're going to do is we are going to fire up our explain. Just waiting for the explain to start capturing. Come now. Jose?
Yeah, Nika.
I see Paul has fallen out of AFK. He didn't mention he was coming back or going somewhere.
No, didn't hear anything.
Alright, okay. Now I'm just going to pull him back. This timer of 5 minutes is a good thing and a bad thing, so.
Yeah, I always keep forgetting.
George Camp, how it works is I've got a little app that is called X Splasher, and that thing changes the splash screen depending on the amount of JPEGs I've actually got in a folder that's associated with it. So every time I open and close my Explain, I run the risk of getting a new splash screen. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a nice picture. EGAA. Okay, so we're going to take 25. So I don't want to go too far. Let's take stand 10. Tracking real time. Let's start that flight. I don't know, George. It comes naturally, to be quite honest. And it's been building up over many years. It didn't just start yesterday, you know. I mean, I've been flight simming all my life. Good morning, Alba Pino. George, no, they don't. Most of them are very small footprint, very small resource intensive things. They don't really do anything for us. They don't really mess us around. Right, I'm just going to let explain settle quickly and then we can change to our Zibo. Right, guys, the scenery as always, if you want a copy of it, it's free. It's from the org. You can grab the link to download them from the description below the video. There we go. Alright, so we've got a very good chance that everything is working fine now, so we can just continue our setup as usual. Top bar, everything is fine. Alright, I made a few changes to the way things display here, so let's have a look, see if we can get this going a little bit for you guys. So that's the OFP that we created, and we're going to use that to set up the aircraft. So I'm just running through all the basics. Yes, George, he is, but he's busy with the guys in one of the other rooms. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing. Bob, it can probably be anyone. I just use the normal default laminar one, just because it's lean and mean. The idea is not the aircraft that you use. The idea is to actually just start explain with something. So it being mean and lean, it obviously starts explain faster than if you go and take a very complex third party aircraft, you know. So that's when we had the conversation initially with Explain 1126 and to start doing this, that was just the first one that came into our minds. Theoretically, you can take the Boeing 747 from laminar or freaking the glider or something theoretically, because all you're doing is you want Explain to finish loading all the scripts and the plugins and the weather and the scenery and everything else that goes with there. That is why the alternative to the whole process also is you can boot into the Zibo, but then you have to move to a different gate so that it effectively forces the aircraft to reload once the initial loading is complete. It's just the way to make sure, to ensure that the scripts load properly. That's all. Right, so let's quickly do the load and stuff here. So payloads 18.1. Our fuel for this trip is very low, it's 3.7. That is very low, wow. So our takeoff weight, according to the OFP, 63.0. So 63.2 would include the taxi fuel, which means we are happy. So we can connect that, we can call the fuel truck, and we can actually... You're welcome, you're welcome. We can actually pre-plan our pushback. I just need to get eyes on the actual airport to see which way. Right, so let me just capture that for you. Where are we, guys? Let's see. Alright, so we want our tail to go to the left. Well, if I looked at the actual sim picture, we would have seen that as well, but now you know.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you're ready.
Alright, and then we can call our ground handling guys. Last night we were flying on VATSIM, so I just need to make sure I get all my frequencies correct again. Right, terminal is working. These guys are in place. Right. Guys, can you read the text well enough there? The guys on the stream last night said it was fine, so I'm just checking with you. Can you read the text okay?
Yeah, it's fine for me. I've got to squint a bit if I want to read the chat, but full screen is fine.
Alright, okay.
Yeah, it's good for me.
Alright, okay. Right, so on the departure, there is no SID. What did we say was our takeoff runway would be 25. I'm going to execute that. Thanks, George, as well. Right, then on the other side, we're not going to use much. In fact, we're going to use a star because there is a star, but it's not connected to the runway. Right, so Mercy to Charlie is fine, but then we won't use the actual transition. So we're going to ise ILS 23 right. You see that Mike Charlie Tango transition, that's the VOR on top of the Manchester Airport. We're going to skip that one. Okay, so we're going to then go to our legs page. Alright, so there you can clearly see it looks a little bit different to when you actually have all the runways and things in there in the actual SID, connecting everything. So when we look at this, our first waypoint is SLYDA, but there's no connection from the runway really to there. There's a line drawn, but it's not really connected. If we set up the rest of the aircraft, LNAV will not engage. It will not work for us. That takes us through. Alright, so the aircraft actually connected then Mercy onto finals, but it's going to give us a hell of a steep turn there. So we're going to disregard that. We're going to simply use vectoring, and we're going to vector ourselves into a much better position than what that is allowing us. I mean, no aircraft's going to turn like that, and if you actually allow the turn, it's probably going to overshoot the localizer. There's going to be a couple of issues there, so it's going to be much better if we just vector ourselves a little bit further, then turn around and come back onto it. That's correct. Alright, our reserves. Make it 1.6. And the cost index will be 20. We're going to do 210. Guys, I need 2 minutes quickly. I just need a quick break. I'll be back with you shortly. Give me 2 minutes.
Paul, have you also got a delay between your stream and voice on the...
Yes, I think it's normal for the way things work. Discord voice is fairly instantaneous, but the streams, it looks like maybe 15 seconds delayed.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
So it's it's interesting that you've got to try and remember what Nico said 15 seconds before while you're watching the actual video.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good strain, this one. I wonder if we're going to get into custom waypoints or whether we are heading select to get to a place to intercept, or whether we're going to let BNav take care of everything but steer with heading, or use vertical speed. There are all kinds of options. There's if there's a VOR nearby, we could do Vorlock and all sorts of things, but I've really not practiced any of that stuff, so it's going to be interesting.
That's why I'm watching as well, because I haven't done it before.
Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's right.
Okay, cool. Let's continue. But I don't have any TopCat calculations for this, so I think I'm just going to leave it as is. Alright. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly grab my notes here. Fill in this one, we or dry, that's fine. Run rating is 258. Oh yeah, that's obvious. Runway slow, please. Down. 7. Bob, I can't remember in so much detail. I'll have to take your word for it and then go check. I can't remember, but remember the. I was thinking, did I? Did I can't remember. I can't remember that now. Let's see what the wind is doing here. Yes, we know. Right, so. That's fine. I should have to leave it at 800. Just gonna give me a little bit more control. Alright, there we go. Guys. Have to verify those speeds again. Alright, so this is typically now the scenario. There's no information except for a magenta line that's going to connect this. So let's see if we can actually connect LNAV. See, nothing we do is going to connect LNAV because it's not a proper path. 5. So we can arm that. Alright, what I'm also going to arm now is I'm going to arm heading select. We need to see what the runway heading is that we need to use that we were just looking at. So that's 248. Which in actual fact is completely the opposite direction. Right. Settle for. Okay. So for those of you that have been following me for a while, you know I always use LNAV, VNAV for takeoff, and some of you might have seen me use this procedure as well, where I use the heading select. Especially in America, there are a lot of SIDs that just don't connect to the runway, so we always start with heading select. But then there are a few guys who actually prefer to fly the aircraft a little longer, a little bit manually. Alright, so what they usually typically do is they don't enable the VNAV at all. Exactly, George. The magenta line, just because it's there, doesn't mean the aircraft is going to fly it. The aircraft doesn't know what to do with it. That's just a nice to have. That's a cosmetic. Because there is absolutely no connection between the runway and your first waypoint. That's just a little line that's drawn. And I see a lot of guys get confused because of that. Anyway, so coming back to the other way of taking off. Bob, I'll have to go check. I'm not on the same page with you. I'm gonna talk nonsense if I start talking with you. If you want, you can contact me on Messenger or something and we can discuss it. But you're gonna lose me right now. Or you have lost me actually. I'm not on the same page as you are right now, so I'm lost. Okay, so what the guys do is they take off, they wait until 1000 foot, and all they do is they enable command A or command B. What that gives them is they are then in control. Let's take that off as well. They are then in control of flying the aircraft. Level change is supposed to come on and your speed is supposed to come on. What then happens is the nose will dip to accelerate according to whatever you put on your Mach speed indicator over there. And so a couple of guys have complained that it rolls back. You know, they would set it to 150 and then they would bug up to, let's say, 210, and the next moment this thing is back at a certain speed. So I'm not sure what they are doing to get that, because I've tested it and I can't get that information. Alright, there is no, apart from that 286, that tells me it's going to have to accelerate at some point in time. It's going to climb. That's already at cruise altitude. There's no information for the Zibo to use up until there. So when you start doing things manually, obviously in my mind things can go wrong if you don't use the correct procedures. And that's one of the reasons I prefer not to do it. But I'm gonna do this morning on stream just to have some other record to see what happens when I try and take off the way that these guys do. So what I'm gonna do is leave it exactly as is. I'm going to wait until 1000 foot and I'm gonna enable command A. Alright, and then we're going to watch what happens, how the aircraft reacts. Then we're going to vector ourselves into a position to intercept SLYDA, but we'll talk through it as we get there. Alright, so without confusing the matter further, let's just leave it as that. Once we are airborne, we'll take it further. Just want to see where Uncle John is, because I see he's here on Discord, but he's not with us. Okay. Let's see what he says. How can you tell if a LAN is connected? Where do you see LAN? I don't see a LAN. I see a whole bunch of other stuff, but I don't see a LAN in there. George, help me out. While we're waiting, let's grab our QNH quickly. 1007. Okay, alright, no worries. Okay, so that leaves us basically configured. I'm gonna start the APU then. Oh, you meant LNAV. Okay. Okay. Alright, sorry. Now I had a blonde moment. Now I've got it. Okay. There's your answer, George. When you go to your route page, it gives you a direct to SLYDA. The aircraft has no idea what a direct to is. The direct to means one of two things basically. It either means you're going to use a heading select to get there, or you're going to execute your leg. And we're going to do that in the air. I'll show you in the air as well. But in this format, the way it is there, going direct to, from wherever you are standing to there, there's no flight path. You see each one of these legs, there's a route the aircraft can actually follow. But there's no route, it just says direct to. Now, the aircraft doesn't know where it is, and according to the laws and the way it's been programmed, the programming laws and the way it operates, you need to guide it to an intercept heading before LNAV will work, and you need to use your heading select to get it there. So, route, page to, direct to. There's nothing connecting the airport with that one. With that first waypoint.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, welcome aboard our flight today. We're wrapping up the final paperwork here to get you on your way momentarily. I want to thank you so much for your company, and we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Again, welcome aboard.
Captain Hudson on the fasten seatbelt sign. We do ask that all passengers take your seat at this time and please fasten your seatbelt. Just as a reminder, we cannot leave the gate until all carrying items are properly put away. All overhead bins are closed and all passengers are seated.
Just quickly setting up my Navigraph. I forgot to show you. Watch nothing. Forgot to pin all my little charts there for my reference. Excellent, George. I'm glad you learned something. That makes me feel good. I'm glad I can help you. Right, so landing elevation is 250 then. Right, that takes care of business for us. Overhead. Okay, double check. RTO needs to come on now. That's it. Let's call our ground services. GPU can disconnect. Request.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Closing all the doors and let's tell these guys to go away. Drive away all. Right, fuel pumps on, beacon lights on.
Flight attendants prepare for departure, cross check and all call, thank you.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Nose lift.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake. Starting pushback and you may start engines.
Okay, so we're flying into dawn, guys. It should get a bit more lighter and brighter. Joseph, I created keyboard shortcuts because if I have to go to home and then page 2 and then go find the doors and actually go click each one of these things, I'm gonna go mad. So I quickly found the data refs and I'm using control 1, control 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And then we basically close them. Now these little lights over there, those are the doors, and those lights will illuminate when one or more of the doors are open, and then I just watch that I've closed it properly from here and just do the spin around at the outside just to, you know, kill some time, make it look fancy on stream. Right, that takes care of that engine. Let's do our next one.
Operation complete. Set parking brake. Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Alright. So let's get into our buses. And mission on. That's fine.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Seems to be fine, thank you. And you do. We'll chat later. Check our controls. Right.
What's disappeared again?
That's fine. That's fine. He'll shut when he wants to come back. We've got our pin. Let us get going.
By the demonstrator, take that, please.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
Okay, so before we take off, I'm just gonna quickly think out loud and get you guys on the same page as my mind is.
Okay.
Okay, so instead of using LNAV, VNAV as I usually do, I would have used VNAV, but I would have enabled heading select already. But I want to do it the way the guys are complaining about to see if I get the same results as they have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off, fly the aircraft manually until 1000 foot, and I'm going to enable command A, and then I want to see what happens. After evaluating what happens, I might or might not have to press some of these buttons, but I'm not familiar that much with how they do it. So Thank you, Paul. We were waiting for you to say that you're back. Alright, so let's see what happens. Let's do it the way they do it, and then like I said, if it was me doing this flight normally, I would have enabled my VNav and I would have enabled heading select and take it from there, but these guys are trying to do it otherwise, so let's see.
That's not good.
You're very soft. What did you say, Jose?
Approaching
Sorry?
25.
You said something, I couldn't hear you. Soft.
Oh, I said that sounds good. That sounds fine to do
Okay. Alright. See if you have VNav on and
runway
heading on, and you
25.
put your command on. You're already on full autopilot, and the aircraft flies it according to how you instruct it. But now these guys have got this different way of doing things, so let's see what happens. Okay. So I'm just going to try and keep it best to my ability on center line.
400.
You see there I would have just enabled autopilot and I would have, you know, let it land to 1.5 and then start turning
1,000
with the knob. So, bring the nose down, there's 1,000, so let us enable command A. Alright, so you see there, now automatically heading select comes on and we've got the level change situation. So I'm just gonna do the normal thing, get the gear down. Alright, so what they are saying is if they now bug up the speed to 10, at some point in time it rolls back to like 150 or something. So let's see if it happens with us as well. So now we're watching and we're seeing. Up. Okay, mine definitely did not roll back. I think you can agree with me. So we are now literally flying on a level change, which means that the pitch is controlled by the autopilot. The speed is controlled, and it will control the pitch to stick to 10 as much as possible. That's why you see it's lifting, and then it will drop it again when the speed off, you know, so you've got a bit of a yo-yo effect. Okay, so enough of that then. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use VNav then, because that's just the way I usually do it. And now we need to turn back. This is now the vectoring part. We now need to turn back and go find that first waypoint. Alright, now it's very important, you're going to have to execute it at least once on the FMC make sure that the aircraft knows that's now the next place to fly to, and you're going to have to make sure that you are on an intercept heading within the allowed parameters, and I kind of have it stuck in my head, it's 45 degrees, I might be totally wrong, so don't hold me to that now. Okay. Anyway, so there you can see the magenta lines coming up now. The aircraft is just following heading select. What I can do obviously is just adjust it slightly to bring it more in line with an intercept heading. Now as it turns, the heading will change, or the course will change a little bit, so we're just going to adjust it until we're happy, until we are actually flying towards that waypoint. Alright, so the aircraft's then going to forget about lights and all these things, guys. I'm not worried about that right now. It's about the procedure. So once that thing is now basically on an intercept heading, it's flying directly towards it. Alright. All I do is I go to the legs page. I click on SLYDA, put it in at the top, and execute. Fuel is not important. So now the magenta line is turned. It's now facing, it's directly from my nose towards that waypoint, and all I do is I switch on LNAV. Problem solved. That's how easy it is. Now it's going to track that waypoint. Not sure why it's turning. Maybe that is what they are complaining about. Supposed to turn, unless I took too long. That could be the other reason. See if it turns back now. It's going to turn back. Yeah, without any user intervention. It obviously had to find that LNAV path, so it had to go intercept it for us and turn back. Now I'm not sure how accurate that is, or exactly the technical reason for it turning away first. It might be that it genuinely puts down a dot in space, and then it needs to calculate it from that dot, so you've got some calculations happening. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is that it's working. You guys can see I didn't change or touch anything. It's, you execute that leg, switch on your LNAV, and the Zibo goes. It just does what it needs to do. Makes sense, Jose?
Yeah. I also think it might be that if you zoom in on the ND, you'd probably see it was slightly off the magenta line.
It was probably from the time that I executed until the time that I pressed the LNAV, a few seconds went by. Now, I don't think it should be that, that much of a big deal and a difference. But the fact of the matter is, it obviously needs to do some calculation to get on track. Okay, which it did, and you see it successfully engaged the path now, and it's now going directly towards SLYDA. So there's nothing. There's nothing wrong as such. I mean, it's still taking you where you want to go. It executed it perfectly, to go to where you want to go. The turning, I don't know, that I can query. I can find out, if that's correct. If it's not correct, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's definitely working.
Definitely working. So what I'm thinking of is, we're not going to fly to SLYDA. We're going to follow, let's make it 2 waypoints. So once we get to Kelly, I'm going to do a similar test, alright? So we're going to watch out for Kelly. There's Kelly, the second. Hey. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to vector myself. Go back to heading mode, turn around, fly around, maybe in a circle or something, and then intercept Kelly again. We'll do the same operation, just to make sure that it's not just one thing. George, I think so. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Let's see what happens when we get to Kelly and what we're going to do about that. It was funny, he was flying with me last night, and he was taking off before me, and I almost said to him, hey, you're on board this side as well. But then the sound never played. I know, George, I know, and it's kind of frustrating because the unfortunate side effect of me, putting my foot down and saying, guys, it's your knowledge, is the guys take it as an insult. And then they don't like me, and then they don't like the Zibo because you're insulting their intelligence, so to speak. And it's not. It's just a lack of knowledge. It's something that you need to learn. It's something that you need to train for. I mean, nobody just arrives in this world. But damn, the people on Facebook, their nerves are so small, and you just touch it, they go ape. Can't say it's my knowledge, you know. And it puts me in a difficult position sometimes, but that's one of the reasons I come and I fly it, because instead of creating a fight or resistance, I'll rather just come and fly it, because if it's wrong, it's wrong, it needs to be fixed. But if it's right and it's correct, then there's the evidence, you know, there's the video, you can see it works. There's no reason it does not work. One of the guys this morning on one of the threads actually said, yeah, he doesn't press the execute button. You know, now if you don't execute the button in your legs page after instructing the aircraft to go to the leg, or if you do not even instruct the aircraft to go to a leg or a waypoint as such, this aircraft's not going to know what to do.
I also think some people panic if they see
Yes.
the aircraft turn away from the waypoint. You know, they start panicking and start trying to do other things.
Yeah, instead of using a normal procedure that actually works. No, it's okay, it's a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of training. Most of the simmers I know are self-taught. They come, they watch a video on YouTube, they read a book, they do whatever, but they don't really know, you know. And this is where I'm fortunate. Yeah, thanks George and thanks Bob. Where I'm fortunate, I've got Jorge, I've got Tim, I've got Zibo, I've got other real world guys, I've got a host of real world guys I can turn to at any point in time and say, guys, is this correct, yes or no? And then we handle it that way. I just wish I had a non-confrontational, nice way of saying to somebody, listen, learn a bit, you know, go educate yourself. But I feel kind of sometimes, you know, the guys take it very wrongly. Yeah, and they think you're insulting them, which is sad, because you're not. I'm really not insulting anybody. If you don't know, you don't know. And anyway, enough of that.
On the subject of education, Nico,
Yeah.
could you just talk me through again exactly the steps you took at takeoff there, and how level change kicked in and all that good stuff, please?
Alright, what happened was I decided before takeoff that I'm going to fly this aircraft manually. That's the difference between my procedure, my normal procedure, because I rely on the automation, I rely on VNAV, okay? But that's my son's cell phone. Bixby wants to talk to me. Can you believe it? I said something that triggered him. Anyway, so I decided first of all that I want to fly this aircraft manually as long as possible. That was the first decision I made. Then I took off and I went up to 1,000 feet. At 1,000 feet, or just above 1,000 feet, I enabled Command A, Paul. Once I enabled Command A, level change, heading select, and N1 all kicked in immediately. That's the way it's been programmed to work.
I understand. Okay.
It will then take this aircraft, fly it straight ahead on the heading select selector value that you put in your MCP, and it will then use your indicated airspeed as the guide for the pitch. So if you are on a slow speed, the nose will basically rise up to bleed the speed, to come back to speed, and then it will dip the nose once it's at the speed. Once it accelerates beyond that, you know, it's like that yo-yo effect I mentioned. It's going to use that speed to keep the aircraft at that speed. So sometimes it's going to climb very fast because it lifts the nose up very high, and sometimes it's going to dip the nose because now you're too slow and it needs the speed to get going and get back, catch up with that speed. Alright, once that is in place, all you need to do then is turn the heading knob to the first waypoint or the waypoint that you want to intercept, you know, fly in that direction. You go to your legs page, you select with your line select key number 1, you select the very first one. You double click it basically. So once it's in, you'll see the execute light comes on. I click on execute. That means that your LNAV is now primed. Okay, it's ready to go. It's like cocking the gun. It's ready to shoot. And all you need to do once you are on an intercept heading to that waypoint is you just enable LNAV and the aircraft will take over from there.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, okay. But like I said, if it was me, I would have just put VNAV on. Heading select already on the ground would have been armed. VNAV would have been armed. I would have taken off at 400. I would have enabled Command A, and done from there on. It's the exact same procedure. Once you go past 1,500 feet, you start turning your heading selector, intercept LNAV. Okay.
So if you'd have selected VNAV, it would have done its calculation to
Yes.
get to the altitude at the first waypoint.
Yes, it would have been a normal takeoff basically. But like I said, now you have the other crowd who like to fly this thing manually, and that's just making it a little bit more interesting, giving you a little bit of something to do basically.
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Right, so we're almost at Kelly. What I am going to do once we pass Kelly, there we go, we've passed it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly just turn away. Heading select that away there. Andre Low, yes, this is 737-800. This is the Zibo mod. So now, let's pretend the ATC gave us an instruction. We now need to fly to a different waypoint. Our next waypoint is Castle, it seems. Castle, yes. So we're going to fly to Castle next. So we're just pretending that we're on a different route. We're flying somewhere else. And then we're going to enable LNAV when we're not on an intercept heading and see what it does. Because I strongly believe that a lot of these guys who are complaining just don't enable LNAV in the wrong time. You know, they use the wrong position, wrong time to enable it. Then it doesn't want to work because it's not made to work. You know, and then they also complain. So we'll see. I don't know. Let's try it.
Paul,
Yes, sir.
just a trick. If you key your mic every now and then, you won't get kicked.
Yeah, sure. I try to remember to just blow down it every few minutes, but sometimes I forget. Thank you.
Thanks, Jose. Oh, it happens. It happens.
Morning, Nico.
Morning,
Check
McTry.
private message.
I did.
Is
Thank you.
this-
Good morning, John. Thanks, McTrying. I'm not gonna go check it now. In actual fact, maybe I should. You let me go do that, because then we can actually show the guys. That's actually a good idea. I didn't want to waste time, but we've got time. Why not? 4:10:15, you say?
Yes.
Hi, George.
Hello, John. Hello, McTrain.
Hi, everybody. Apologies for my lateness.
Good morning. I'm keeping quiet. Just let Nico do his Twitch, YouTube stream. I'll send significant info via private message.
McTrying.
Yes?
Call me stupid, but how do you read a page number called 4.10.15? Because there's 2,576 pages here. Don't you have a
Bottom
better way?
of the page, you've
Yeah.
got date, and on the right hand side, the reference to the page.
Yes, but don't you have just a normal page number for me, man? Just give me page 1,310.
The way I'm looking at it, no, but the direct link in
No. Okay, let's go.
Hang on, I'll try and come up with the data for you.
Please. While we're doing that, I'm just flying away. I'm pretending to go to the Caribbean. We're gonna fix this issue later. Alright, so. Alright, if we go to our legs page now, just to put this all in the picture, Castle is our next waypoint. Alright, if we went on a heading select now, see if we go LNAV now, there's no intercept heading. It can't go anyway. It's confused. There's nothing to go to. You can clearly see that it is the next waypoint, and you can clearly read it says not an intercept heading. Alright, so the only time that's going to work, let's see if we actually turn back towards it. I bet you I didn't. We'll swim. You know, that's why the ticket was so half price, you know, George. It was just to get you in the air. We didn't talk about landing, you know. So anyway, I've put on heading select. We're turning back now. Now you know why the ticket was so cheap.
And presumably you could press the center button so that your plane would be in the middle of the display.
Well, you could, yeah.
So that you could maybe see better where you're trying to get back to.
Yeah, good point, good point. Excellent, Paul. That's the one we want, so I'm just going to put a little bit in front of it from my perspective.
Oh,
Yes, my guy.
okay, Nico. Page 1587.
1587. Thank you so much.
You found some light reading for Nico, have you, McTrike?
Yeah.
In his own library.
Okay, let's see. Oh my goodness, this is a mouthful. Right. I'm gonna get to that just now. I just want to try and get this plane back to where I think it should be, and then we can look at those specifics. Right, that's very interesting. Still not an intercept heading. Guys, I know it's not an intercept heading. I'm just giving you scenarios here, so don't worry about it. I want you and anybody else to start to understand that there are limits, and I'll read them to you just now. It's very interesting. Still not. There's a trick to it. I'll explain that also. There is a trick to it. Okay, so I'm going to let this aircraft go dead straight towards that waypoint. Are we looking at the same one? Castle? Yeah. So we're going to go straight, dead straight towards that thing. Oh, I switched off it in select. Yeah, or I didn't switch it off, it kicked out because we wanted to get out. Okay, right? So I want to fly dead straight toward that thing, and I want to show you another trick. We're probably going to have to put in more fuel at some point in time. Just change this. Oh, isn't that? Right, so we are flying dead straight, but look at the angle of the actual route. Right, so we're clicking LNAV. I mean, you can't argue with me. I'm flying dead straight towards that thing now, apart from the deviation in the wind, right? So we've got a bit of a crosswind. Not an intercept heading. Okay, so this is the trick. It's not just about the waypoint, it's also about the path that you fly. It's about that route that you're flying. Alright, so basically it comes down to this. You need to be within 3 nautical miles of the active route, and you need to be on an intercept heading. So there are that as well that you need to take into consideration. So I'm just going to go slightly to the right and then turn back left, get back onto course there. At the moment we do it correctly according to the FCOM, this thing should immediately intercept. So we're going to clear that so we don't get confused. Let's get that FCOM on the screen. So this is the FCOM as we have it, and it basically says LNAV engagement criteria in flight. There you go. The active route must be entered in the FMC. You must be within 3 nautical miles of the active route, which we clearly are not. Alright. If you are outside of the 3 nautical mile, the airplane must be on an intercept course of 90 degrees or less, and the intercept route segment before the active waypoint. Alright, so you could choose it. Look, yeah, you can do a couple of things now. You can actually choose it, you can execute it again. There's a couple of ways to do it. We've got one more waypoint after this. We can run the other scenario as well, George, but let's do one at a time. So I'm just going to turn back. I'm going to then turn to actually face the route and face the waypoint, and then it should obviously intercept for us. So we're going to run both scenarios, but the reason we're doing this obviously is to explain that there are limitations, and I don't think well, everybody knows the limitations. A lot of guys simply do not know the limitations, and they don't know how to get themselves out of the twang once they have hit one of the limitations. You know, and this is what we said earlier. Then it's so easy to say, oh, the Zibo mod's not working, when in actual fact it's your brain that's not working, you know. And that's obviously, sorry, that might sound insulting, and I'm not being insulting. It's just, you don't know any better. You need to educate yourself.
The other interesting bit was that LNAV arming criteria on the ground.
Oh yeah, I didn't read that because I'm in the air.
No, that's fine. Fine. But it clarifies something you were talking about earlier.
Okay, okay. We can look at that just now as well. Yep. Right, so we're going to turn back. Well, George, you see, that's the difference between you and some of the other guys. They point blank refuse to read the manuals, to get involved with the education. So it's easier to just complain and then have somebody say yay or nay. And the FCOM that I have in front of me is 2,576 pages, by the way. It's a hell of a document. George. McDrangy says the FCOM will make a very handy doorstop in his house.
I've no doubt it would.
Yeah. We are all different, guys. Some of us like reading, some of us don't. I read when I have to, and then I read a lot, but I don't go and sit and just read for fun either. Yeah, see, George, that's another thing. Not everybody wants to simulate at the same level of immersion, no same level of simulation, and we have to take all those things into account, which is why I started part of this conversation saying it's difficult for me expressing myself, you know, when I know that when I say something guys might get offended, you know, but I mean, I can't help it. If you don't know, you don't know. Alright, so I'm going to go back to our normal view. You can see how far we are. About 10 miles. Closer. Alright, so we hit LNAV now. LNAV is engaged. But what did we do? We actually came, as the FCOM says, within 3 nautical miles of the actual route, and we were less than 90 degrees to the angle. Alright, in this regard, in this case, we were on an intercept heading, and we were within 3 nautical miles, and LNAV simply works. Exactly as the FCOM says. Okay, so here's another one. Now I'm gonna do one more little trick. Okay, turn. I wanna show you guys something else. So PENIL is the next one. Let's go there. Not gonna worry about that now. So let's do it. Realize we were so close to the top of the descent. What is our descent? Where do we have to go down to? We need to go down to 3,500. Right. Okay, so you guys, I just need to check with you. Are you are happy? You do understand the limits? You have to be within 3 nautical miles of the path and at an intercept heading before LNAV will reconnect, right? You all guys are happy with that. That was our second thing we showed you. The first thing we showed you was we used heading select to go to the first waypoint, which was not connected to our airport, and then we clicked on it. We double clicked on it actually on the next page, then we hit execute, and then we switched on LNAV, and then it actually picked it up. So that was the first thing. Second thing we've just completed, and then now I'm going to show you a third thing. Who are you talking about, Uncle John Escobar? Right, okay, so let's pretend we are lost. So what we're going to do is we have no idea what happened. We just got lost, right? So now we're going to zoom out so we get a kind of an idea where we need to turn to. So we can see we need to turn basically back. Right, so we're going to turn in the general direction we want to go. Trying.
Yes.
Bob's calling you monster.
I don't have a Google account, Bob, so I can't enter the chat.
Oh, okay. Bob, just send me a message, I'll relay it then. I don't want to get to a very strange angle. I want to get to like a 45-degree angle, and you guys can see that LNAV's not listening to us. Doesn't like us. So I want to show you guys something. I'm gonna try it with this one, otherwise we'll do it with the next waypoint. So we're gonna level off quickly. Oops. Touch the screen now. Okay. So what we're gonna do now, we want to intercept the PENIL. So all we do is we're going to now double click it again, and we're going to say execute. Look, it's now drawing the line to us, and we can immediately engage LNAV. So we were not within 3 nautical miles. We were not within the 90 degrees. We were in fact way off, way off. So the only way to re-engage LNAV again is like in the beginning. You have to double click the active leg, let the aircraft draw the line from that leg to the nose, and then you hit LNAV. And that's the third way, the third option that we have, you know, that we can actually make LNAV work. And this is how a Boeing works. This is not some fancy magic. This isn't a simulation shortcut or anything. This is just how LNAV works within a Boeing. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Jose?
Yep, it does.
So if you are struggling to get your intercept heading, execute this next waypoint, then hit LNAV and watch the magic. See, now it's going back. Oh, Bob, yeah, no. Uncle John? Slowing down for double descent. Guys, do you have any questions? I never asked you. Do you have any questions? Do you want me to maybe do it again? Go over it again or something? Guys on Discord, are you?
I understood well, thanks.
Okay. Good stuff. Correct, George. Correct. Thank you. Nice to have the feedback. For the rest of you guys that are sitting on the stream that are not talking in chat with us, you guys must never be shy. You must feel free to say your say, ask your question, etc. If you don't understand, please ask me to retry, re-explain whatever needs to happen. Right, let's quickly look at setting up here.
Morning, Nico.
Hello, Uncle John, where have you been? Are you alright? I'm worried about you.
I'll talk to you after. I'm okay, but I've had an issue with my flight controls. I came into land, did a perfect stream, and I got no control with my elevator.
Oh no.
And I think it was because it was still set in the settings page. SID was the first thing that came up instead of my new yoke. So I'm rather peed off.
Sam, sorry about that.
Not your fault, mate. It's me. If I'd have done the checklist, I'd have checked me. Mind you, I took off okay. It lifted okay on takeoff. So why it decided to disengage when I came into land, I have no
idea. Anthony, that's a good question, my friend. And I need to get cappuccino. This filter coffee is not good for me. I tell you what. That's why I don't even drink it. I need to put my cappuccino back in there, and then we'll see. But my friend, my best advice to you is get up, go to the galley. There are a couple of things standing around there. Let's have a look, see quickly. Well, there's a Heineken, there's a Coke. Oh, there's a couple of things up there. You know, just go help yourself, my friend. If the women don't want to do this, help yourself. More than welcome. Sorry, Jose?
Must be an early morning coffee. You haven't got a half on top of that.
Exactly. This is not cappuccino, and this is filtered coffee. This woman tried to be nice, you know, but also not that nice. So she's just going to be filtered coffee. I prefer the cappuccinos. Well, I can't hear you, Uncle John.
So then, anybody wants a drink, have one, charge it to me.
Okay, wow, that's nice. Thank you, Uncle John.
For any of those watching the stream for Nico, your delay to me today is 25 to 29 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
For the time anybody's got anything in chat, you're probably talking the best half of a minute.
Wow, that's sad. That's really sad. And Twitch is literally 3 seconds now. I hope these guys fix this nonsense. It's really sad. I wish there was a way I could change it. I'm gonna have to investigate this because this is rubbish. I don't want the guys to wait 25 seconds to even hear me.
If somebody else wants to verify what I'm saying where they're watching, if you
verify.
If you right click the feed screen and check stats for nerds.
Alright, we can look at that later. I want to go to the next phase quickly here, so guys, bear with me. What I'm gonna do, I mean, everybody can see this is an impossible turn. There's just no ways you're gonna do this. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna vector ourselves again now. So we're going to go to heading select. and we're going to vector ourselves to turn around and then intercept the ILS again. So I just thought it would be nice to put that in there. I'll change the title of the video later on just to reflect it better, because we obviously had a star, so but this is the way we're gonna just vector ourselves and intercept the ILS.
Guys, I just refreshed my page and it's caught up.
Sorry, you're breaking up.
I just refreshed the page and the stream's okay.
Okay, can you guys press Control F5, McTrain? Press Control F5. See if there's a delay again. Let me actually also do that. Let's see what this thing does. Sorry, you're breaking up. Okay, can you guys... George, I'm gonna pass on that one right now because I'm not prepared for that. I'm pretty sure we can figure it out quickly, but let's do one thing at a time, and then I'll add the vector or the waypoint just a little bit later. Press Control F5, right? Press Control. I don't want to listen to myself. So how am I going to check this? Let's go to chrono. Count it. Damn it, yeah, I've got it on 31 seconds. That's terrible. Anyway where I can force this thing to upload quicker. I'll have to investigate this. So if we go what's that? SID. I'm gonna quickly try this, George. Let's see if I can get this right. It will be on a radial of 232. Go 15. Actually, let that fall. That's gonna be 9. So let's make it freaking 5. Okay, didn't like that. George? Yeah, I think it's now put it at 250 nautical miles. I'm gonna have to delete that. I didn't prepare for this, so I'm kind of doing it on the wing here, just on the fly. What we'll do is I'll go prepare something for you, and then I will do that for you the next time. Okay. Sorry about that, but I don't want to teach you the wrong thing. That's obviously not what we're here for. So we'll check it out, and then we can do that other thing. One 1011. Right. So what we can do now is we can just vector ourselves a little bit closer to that runway. Yeah, okay. No, I thought so. I thought you would agree with me. Thank you. Thanks for the mercy and the grace, George.
Altimeter setting.
There are multiple reporting points for weather in this area, guys, and that's why it's complaining about the altimeter. The actual altimeter at EGCC is correct. It's 1011. I love this little hilly area. It's a very, very beautiful area that I love flying over here on the back end of this ILS.
Yeah, that's where I live, Nico.
Serious?
Absolutely.
Wow, you're lucky. Very, very nice ball.
I'm right next to Pole Hill VOR.
Okay. Amazing. Right, so once we go below T30, I'm going to pull flaps 1 to help the aircraft slow down a little bit, and in the interim I'm also going to keep my eye on that heading, so you guys can see that I'm constantly just adjusting the heading so I get a good intercept there. Okay, George, thanks for joining, and I hope you enjoy the landing later. Bye-bye for now. Alright, I'm going to enable my approach now. So I'm just constantly assisting the intercept so that the angle isn't too bad, you know, that it just intercepts nicely. Right, so we are now on the approach. It's taken over, and I'm just going to adjust my heading to be the runway heading as well for the go around if we need to do one. And let's see, 3,500 altitude, go around altitude. So we are there anyway. There's the glide slope coming alive. I never switched the lights off or anything when we went up, so that's still okay. Let's see, the speed brake is now on, auto brake is on, and let's get our wheels down. I'm gonna do a flaps SID landing. I just landed myself by doing auto land today. Nice wind there, 18 knots coming from about 1 o'clock there.
Feet stabilized, Mr. Birch altitude set.
Approaching 2-3 right.
Approaching minimums. 100. Minimums. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Welcome to Manchester, guys.
Nice landing, Nico.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Feet stabilized, Mr. Perch altitude set.
Thank you, Bob. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you learned something. Always makes me feel good when I know I added some value to somebody's life. Thanks for telling me. Right, that takes care of that for us. Let's see, we should be back in real time now. Yeah. Okay, guys, any questions? Anything you want me to redo, recap, something, or explain? Are you guys familiar or more familiar with LNAV usage now?
I am more familiar.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Well, if you want to ask me something or get hold of me, Facebook, best place. I'm gonna stop the stream now. I'll be with you guys on Discord in a second. So thank you very much for joining my stream, and I hope to see you guys later on this evening again if everything goes according to plan. If not, as soon as possible thereafter. Have a good rest of your weekend, guys, and go try and fly the Zibo. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you.